Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lobheim.
Hey, Chief Meteorologist Matt Lobheim here. Just not a long update here, but did want to do a kind of quick update. We do have some thunderstorms out there, fairly heavy. The thinking is most of these are going to, again, stay well below severe limits. But some of these are getting fairly heavy, so just want to kind of give a kind of quick heads up here as we're looking, especially some of these in and around Monroe County, near Athens and Aberdeen, kind of working their way up toward Becker community there. Let's go ahead and put this in motion here for you a moment. We'll make this a 1 hour loop. Actually make it a little, you can see there, kind of expanding there and back toward the east, right toward the radar site. As we look here on Mississippi Live Weather Radar, one of the things that we're kind of analyzing, again, some of the winds on this, one of the things that we were watching, looking at some of those straight line winds and the latest scan here. Again, nothing that is really over the top on the wind speeds, but showing some of those gusts at 20, 25 miles per hour or so. So nothing super extreme with this. I go back a few scans here. You can see it was a little bit breezier. So not impossible to maybe have a 40 or 45 mile per hour wind gust out of this, but I think most cases, those storms are probably not going to be at severe levels, thankfully. Getting back here, I'll look three-dimensionally on this, kind of maybe a better way to kind of look at this thunderstorm batch there. Now, one thing that happens when we get kind of close to the radar site like we are here, you'll notice how you kind of see it's flat there on top. It's because the radar doesn't scan high enough up. It only goes about 19 degrees on that angle. It's not super high. So we don't really sample the top of this. So still possible that as this gets a collapse, some 40, 45 mile per hour wind gusts possible out of that. Let's go ahead and get a track on that thunderstorm there as we kind of analyze that and bring it back to 2 dimensions and bring it back over here to regular radar as we expand that there kind of toward the north. And I do want to double check the storm speed on this. So kind of looking at that will take it about an hour and double check the location. So I will say even here, I still do the old fashioned, put my finger on the screen and figure out how fast it's moving. So there's some things that die hard. So let's see, that is moving about 30 miles per hour here. So we're going about 30. So let's bring it back to the current time, kind of track that ahead there as it expands more toward Smithville and Briscoe. And I do think the worst of this probably stays a little south there, Smithville. So we said about 30, 32 miles per hour or so. There's that speed. So right about there. I'll go about 36 just to get to Hamilton. So as you can see, Solagent on kind of the south side there. We're looking at that for you in the Solagent area. Around 449, Detroit 456, Hamilton, Alabama about 515 there. And a lot of different sites there. This is an example of how we're going to plot on some of the storm shelter sites onto these storm tracks there. So obviously that's why you have that cluster there around Hamilton. We have kind of those all embedded into our system here. So again, this is largely, I would say, below severe limits. Another way to kind of look at this is going to be from our camera there in Amory. And again, it's kind of in it at this point on the south side there, just dark gray, the way that more looks. Let's see if maybe Smithville has a slightly better perspective on that. And we'll also try to pull up here the ability to kind of control a few of these cameras. But there's all, of course, that dark gray as we're looking 100 and, well, I'll get out of the way of that, 193 degrees. So basically looking south there from Smithville into the heavy of this. So there's some low-hanging clouds there, but we're not talking about anything on the severe levels with that. Even with the National Weather Service, they're kind of monitoring this, saying about a 40 mile per hour wind gust at the airport there in Monroe County out of this. So this is, again, not a true severe thunderstorm, thankfully, at this point. And hopefully that'll continue to be the case. I'm looking here behind the scenes at some of our other cameras around and going, it's a lot of heavy rainfall really out of any of those kind of showing up there. The main story, so it's a lot of grays. Kind of clear that off for a moment, bring it back to Mississippi Live Weather Radar here, and I'm going to have to get my branding right. It'll take me a while to get used to that. More thunderstorms back out here toward the Delta area. Kind of put this in motion here for a second, and you can see generally the grouping of these still kind of lifting toward the east. So yeah, heavy rainfall showing up the Water Valley area out of this. Let's go ahead and minimize the cameras. And these storms back down here south of Kosciuszko, again, down there toward Philadelphia are the strongest. So let's go out here, out toward the Delta. And as we do, we'll look at some of those storms, see how strong some of those are. Again, these are all below severe limits, bringing this to current time period. And I'll kind of change our angle to kind of get them all in on the same time here. One of the heavier ones is that one over top of Charleston, and a few down here close to Schlater and southward toward around Greenwood there. So we'll check out our Greenwood camera here in just a second. In fact, let's go there to begin this. So as we bring up Greenwood for a second, kind of in this Itabina, one of those heavier showers over top of you. A lot of low-hanging clouds on this. And our discussion back and forth with North Mississippi Storm Chasers, let me double check where we're at on that, as they have kind of noted some things here in the last few minutes. Just a lot of heavy rainfall with it. The main thing on this here. So just watching that. So again, lower hanging stuff, but again, that's just because it's dark clouds, kind of twisty looking clouds, doesn't mean that it's necessarily dangerous in that regard. I'm going to keep these storms. I'm going to also probably take this about the same, 30, 35 miles per hour or so. So that one in Greenwood, one of our heavier ones. So that eventually toward Grenada. Of course, there's one over top of Grenada right now. We show about 518 there for Grenada. Let's adjust the default on the cities here down to 1, so we get a few more locations in there. And there we go. We have, minimize the wrong thing. Again, it's going to take me some time as I get used to how it's going to look here to run some of the things on this radar. I've been doing one thing for about a long time now. And so it's a new system's going to take a little bit of time. And then I'm going to have to probably get off the air here in a minute so that I can get ready for our 5 o'clock broadcast. So there's that batch there, moving the direction of LaFleur at about 446. We're looking at Valley at about 450 there, Holcomb at 457, Dubbard at 504, and eventually they're close to Grenada about 520 or so as it moves in from the west at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Again, not all these storms are moving the same speed, but as I kind of go back and double check that one, I say that, and some of the showers trying to move off of that particular one's not really moving a whole lot, so I think I've overstated my hand on that. I don't know if that actually makes it all the way there. See all that work, and then that's the nature of these kind of pop-up sort of showers. And a few back here toward Charleston. These do have a little bit of movement there. I will look at our severe threats here, not showing potential for maybe a couple of hail reports out of that there, more heavy rainfall than anything else. That's largely the story out of this. So maybe some small hail possible out of the strongest of those. I'd say the same thing also possible there for locations back here around Water Valley and Pine Valley, as well as that batch kind of moving toward the north. So again, our heaviest storm, the reason we kind of came on here for a moment out here closer to the Amory and Smithville area. This one, as I kind of look at the threats on this, it says greater chance of maybe some 1-inch hail. I think that's probably a little larger than it actually is, but certainly watching that potential there as well. And I see over here on our stream, someone mentioned that things are freezing up. So give me a second here so I can pull this up and make sure that everything's good. One person was mentioning freezing up. I'm not seeing that on anybody else on there. I'm just double checking kind of our Facebook, YouTube, all those different streams as we look at that. So anyway, so I'm going to take it back here to radar one more time. And as we kind of send you back out here for a moment, I'm going to kind of, actually what we will do, because again, we can do anything. What we'll do, I don't yet have the infrastructure to just leave radar up, because I've got to get ready for the show, got to get some things prepped for that. Coming up at 5 o'clock. But we, of course, have that radar that cycles through here on the channel. At some point, I hope to be able to have a radar that I can just leave up in this scenario. We're just not quite there yet. I've got some ideas. So anyway, we will see you coming up at 5 o'clock here for a Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Appreciate all you for continuing to support us, and see you here in a few minutes.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.